Hi, my name is Jen, and this is my qualitative research demonstration project. My project is done on alternative seating options and its effect on student success. Flexible seating is a modern differentiation strategy being applied in some classrooms. The purpose of this study is to determine the effects flexible seating has on students as well as teachers. The topic will address this option to determine if flexible seating should be a priority over non-flexible seating. The research questions that my study is focusing on is, does having multiple flexible seating options within a classroom create an observable motivation for students to engage in their individual work? My second question was, do students feel they get more accomplished or are more engaged due to flexible seating? And my third question was, do teachers feel as though they maintain a healthier working environment compared to traditional seating? A little bit about my literature review. Within each classroom, there's a large diversity of students, and with each student needing different options in order to be as successful as possible. Different teaching strategies being applied, different learning style preferences being met, or adjusting the learning environment are some options. Flexible seating is a modern-day differentiation strategy being applied to some classrooms. It is a teaching strategy being implemented by some, but not necessarily being used at maximum potential. Creating an environment where maximum success can occur is essential. This is a teaching strategy that is being largely discussed and researched to an extent quantitatively. However, the consideration of student and teacher perceptions are not priorities in research. Priorities included in research are using alternative seating in the classroom to reduce disruptive behavior, improve academic performance through self-regulation, and sensory integration, helping individuals' attention and productivity. Like I said, qualitative research studies are at a minimum. However, some of the articles I reviewed included sampling through qualitative methods such as questionnaires and interviews of teachers as well as students. The literature that I reviewed did not provide full evidence and did not provide as much input from perspectives as I was hoping to find. So therefore, an increased qualitative approach to this topic is needed, and that is why I chose it. One of the areas that I found a lot of information on was that alternative seating allows for increased engagement, or that was one of the areas that the articles focused on. Another area of focus is that flexible seating allows for a variety of learning styles to be incorporated into one environment. Individuality amongst choices is needed for type of seating due to the fact that students all have different learning styles. It is essential that each student select dynamic seating choices that will best fit their specific style. So based on the information provided, quantitative methods were present, and qualitative research studies were at a minimum for this topic. A lot of the information available is sources relaying information through anecdotal evidence, which still causes many unanswered questions. I would like to see more evidence that concludes this theory through that it could reduce disruptive behavior and maintain this. And all of the research presented concludes that there is not enough evidence to promote the theory in improving academic performance. Qualitative research is lacking, therefore teacher and student perceptions are not being shared as much as they should. So that is why I would like to continue, or that is why I did continue to research flexible seating in a qualitative manner. So a little bit about my data collection. This phenomenology of determining the effects of alternative seating options in the classroom will use a research plan that will derive its findings through prepared interviews and observations, as well as discussions with students and teachers involving sharing their overall views. This method was chosen due to the fact that minimal qualitative research to date is present, but it should be taken into consideration. I attempted to understand not just the perspectives and perceptions of participants of active students involved, but also two teachers' perspectives as well. And students of both age groups will be or were observed using flexible seating as well as traditional seatings, and then they described their experiences. So if you take a look at my chart, You'll notice that classroom A represents a grade 1-2 classroom and classroom B represents a grade 5-6 classroom. So the exact same process occurred for both classrooms. So the process being used was on day 1 and day 2 was with classroom A, followed by a repetition of the process for day 3 and day 4 with classroom B. Day 1 and day 3 consisted of observation of students in alternative seating, as well as traditional seating. And day 2 and day 4 included continued observation as well as individual interviews. During observation, this study was conducted using an A-B-B-A plan. So this plan, students will be observed or were observed and interviewed in both situations. So half the students participated in flexible seating arrangements first, while the other half participated in traditional first. Then the students switched and experiences the other situation, and that's where the BA comes in. So both days consisted of this. Group 1 experienced flexible seating in the morning on day 1 and the afternoon on day 2. Group 2 experienced traditional seating in the morning on day 1 and the afternoon on day 2. So prior to this process, the teachers involved had split up the participants into 2 groups, and they remained constant throughout the 2-day process. Both classrooms involved had very similar seating selections, including therapy balls, standing tables, rocking chairs, bean bags, and cushions for seats. While students were involved with flexible seating, they had freedom. They did not have to stay in the same location, and they could move where they feel best fit their needs for that particular time. Specific rules were grounded within each classroom for the use of flexible seating. While participating in traditional seating, students remained in one spot without an option. While observing, specific notes were taken in the form of memo writing regarding on-task and off-task behavior. Other focuses included motivation and engagement of getting started right away and continuing to focus. Specific distractions were noted. Following the second day of participation with each classroom involved, interviews of students took place. And if you notice on my first column at the bottom of my slide, the student interview questions are there. The interview process took place during class time, and individual students were pulled into the hallway to be interviewed so that they would not have an influence from others. At the bottom of my slide on the right are the teacher interview questions, and these were asked to the teachers when they had a moment to spare for me. My data analysis took place at the end of day 4 in order to refrain from early analysis. Summarization techniques were used in order to find categorization amongst both age groups associated with the study. While organizing the collected data, information was split into grade level, as well as traditional or flexible seating. Comparing and contrasted was used. Coding strategies took place in order to determine if there was a pattern among specific seating type, as well as a pattern associated with age and maturity level. Data analysis would lead to specific conclusions regarding the effects of alternative seating options in the classroom. So after analyzing my data, I found that the information from my study provided solid qualitative findings. Flexible seating options within the classroom allowed for comfortable learning to fit different learning styles, as well as many different choices to fit individual need and preference. I found that that was one of the key things that I found by forming this qualitative study. Students who needed movement seeked out the options allowing this, such as stools and therapy balls. So if they started on a chair and they realized that they needed movement, they individually seeked out to better their learning. Students were really shocked at first about the options, but they could really now see the benefits, and they seem to have increased engagement, and they seem very much more interested in choosing their spot compared to sitting at a desk. So in order for flexible seating to be incorporated correctly, strong management and procedures within a classroom are necessary. If the management is not there, it will not likely be beneficial. My study allowed for positive results, indicating that flexible seating has many benefits. However, I would like to continue to further my research to better conclude this topic. So the project experiences provided me with many new learnings. Reviewing of literature previously to creating research questions is very important. Understanding why extended or new research is needed is crucial. This project helped me understand how to lay out a research project and what critical factors are needed in order for it to be successful. Throughout my experience, I right away noticed that quantitative research availability was minimal for this topic and that qualitative was highly needed. Therefore, I was able to focus on the topic of flexible seating. My research allowed for me to find new insights on the topic from students as well as teachers. I was also able to understand that even though I developed conclusions from my data analysis, I can say that extended research is still needed in order to create more solid conclusions.